This, okay, fair. First, we've started the recording. So we'll just rephrase what. Okay. So if we are not, if one session we have done and if the person has not responded to the the protocol that we have given, then we should look at two things: is that we have identified the correct problem, the presenting problem, and what we have identified. If we have done the right protocol for it, we've used the right technique to address that thing, and if both these things are correct, then we should look at if there are any secondary gains that the person is going through. Sometimes people don't want to let go of their issues because there are certain secondary gains that are happening. There could be multiple secondary gains, but then we need to identify the first secondary, the most important secondary gain that the person is having due to that issue. We can use idiometric responses to find out. We can use direct questions also before the session. Ask them, so it would help them release the issue. And secondly, we can use idiometric responses. I sometimes ask the person, the subject or the client, that they really want to get rid of that particular issue. Ask them multiple times. It sounds a little stupid and foolish, but then it's a very good idea to do so, because then consciously and subconsciously they are in sync that they really want to. Hello? Yeah, Neha. Oh, okay. चल जाना चाहिए, कोई ऐसा इशू नहीं होना चाहिए 4G पे भी. हाँ, फिर से कर लो. I'll invite you, no issues. Neha has a problem with the electricity at her place, and Nivedita. So, Deepika had certain questions, right?
Hanji.
Yeah, Deepika.
Saket, I'm having problem with the soul fragment retrieval and integration.
Okay.
And life between lives. I just want a fresh explanation of how to go about it.
Okay. So, can you give me a brief about what exactly, from where are you doing this soul fragment retrieval, and what exactly is the issue that you're facing?
See, when I take the client back, and when there is, it seems as if there is a dual personality to the patient.
Right.
Then, splitting it and taking the soul back, like you had done it for the class, seems a little difficult. Why? Because sometimes the client, even in the subconscious mind, does not want to admit that there is something else to it. So I get stuck at that point.
Okay, so you are working with a client, and then there seems to be a soul fragment, and the client consciously or subconsciously doesn't want to recognize that.
Yes, he's suppressing the thing.
Okay, so have you tried getting both the personalities or fragments together and let them talk to each other?
I want some clarity with that also, how to bring them together so that there is no clash at that point, because sometimes I feel that the person is getting so agitated that there could be some trouble. So I stop, and then gently I bring the person back.
Okay, so you would anyway, as a therapist and hypnotist, you are in control of the session.
Gee.
If somebody is doing some hanky panky, you can always control. That's not an issue. You can send that back. You can bring this person out. That won't be an issue.
Hanji.
So give me a little background on how did you discover it, and what did you discover, and then what did you do? So a little more explanation so we can analyze it better.
Okay, so I felt that the person was getting, sometimes the person was talking about that, I feel that whatever's happening with me regarding my health is not from the present, it is from the past.
Mm-hmm.
And the person's nature in reality also seems the same.
Okay.
So I definitely feel that there is a feminine aspect to the male.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I try to take the person back,
Mm-hmm.
the person changes into the female aspect, but the female aspect is not letting the male aspect come in.
So when the person changes into the female aspect, it's a
Yeah.
male. I assume it's a male that you're working on, right?
Hanji, Hanji. It's a
So,
male that I'm dealing with, and
so when the person,
immediately,
yes, so the person changes into the female aspect. Now, once you have connected to that female aspect, what does that female aspect want?
the female aspect just wants to talk about herself.
Okay, so you'll have to listen to her first of all. That's
Hanji,
one thing. Listen to her why that presence is there in the male body. First of all,
Hanji.
what is she doing in the male body, in this
Hmm.
person's body, and when and why she chose to get attached to this person.
Hmm.
So once you figure out when and why that
Hmm.
she chose to get attached to this person, then
Hmm.
only you can give her an alternate and say, this is now that you usually most of these entities don't mean any harm to the person they're attached to.
Yeah, she's just trying to fulfill something through this person.
Exactly. Because it's like case of a getting a puppy and falling in love with a puppy. So for
Yeah,
them, attached body is like a puppy and they really fall in love with that and they don't want to harm that attached body also. So
Hanji.
if you clearly tell them that this is the case and you are actually harming this person's life,
Hmm.
would listen to it, they would agree based on the conversation you have had with them. Show no
Hmm.
respect, they don't force them to go.
Hmm.
Don't even say that you would want them to go or you would force them to go. Nothing
Hmm.
like that. If they have any issue or problem in going all by themselves, you can help them by calling on the masters of the realm.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So you call on the masters of the realm and ask them to help the attached entity to go safely
Hmm.
to the other side. You can call on the masters of this realm or this person that they are attached to, and both the masters can work. In their presence, this can happen and they can go out.
Okay, okay. But what if the entity wants to go further back?
Then you'll have to take her further back
Oh,
because she will not go unless you've listened to her completely.
yeah, that is what is happening.
So she has, if she is showing herself, then that means there is a willingness to go now.
Acha, okay.
So if the attached entity is willing to go, then but you'll have to go through the process. It may take. So if the attached entity is strong or has very talkative, then it may take multiple sessions.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, because then she'll want to talk about it, things and everything else. So I'll
Hmm.
take an example. I'll take two examples. I'll show you two examples that how long can it take.
Hanji.
So one case was I did. This woman was in her 40s and she started behaving recklessly.
Hmm.
The issue was she would go and fight with their relatives. She'll start harassing her neighbors, kicking them, physically getting violent also.
Hmm.
And she was also undergoing pranic healing,
Hmm.
but to some extent it was helping, but it was not helping too much.
Hmm.
And then finally, this person, asked me if I could help. There was some delay in it. And then we
Hmm.
finally agreed to do a session. The session lasted for about 2.5 hours.
Hmm. I can understand.
She would listen voices, and she had also undergone medical treatment, and she was identified with dissociative religious identity disorder,
Hmm.
which basically means that the person is imagining in getting instructions from religious thing or too much fundamentalist mindset.
Hmm.
So when we explored her, there were, she would get instructions from one of the entities, so-called entities, because we're really not sure that if the attached person is that entity or not. So two different entities are already attached. And then we figured out that process took her to the places and tried to figure out what was the solution. And then she gave a solution herself after about 2 hours, that if, so and so would say, again, one Peer Baba, very famous one, would say, then these two would stop fighting and, stop it troubling her. So at the end of 2.5 hours, we had a resolution that yes, this is possible, and it was resolved. And then I got a feedback
Sorry.
from her daughter.
Sorry, could you repeat the last bit?
So I'm saying that it, took 2 hours to simply get to the point where she would understand and say, I would listen to this person and then resolve the issue. And then we got a feedback about 5 days later from her daughter that yes, she has stopped hearing the voices that she was hearing. And that aspect is fine. So what asked them to come again, they did not come. But then I checked up again a month later. So yes, the issue is definitely not there of her hearing the voices.
Okay. Now, one question, Saket, when the entity is asking you to take her back, and she wants to go back further, is it a possibility that the entity's name keeps getting changed with the era that she's going back to?
Yes, that is possible. Because then again, you'll have to ask whether it's the same entity or they're attached to somebody in that part. It's their own life, or they're attached to somebody in that life also.
Oh, so you mean there could be multiple fragments to it?
There could be multiple fragments. Multiple fragments happen.
Okay.
You can ask her to go back to the first cause when it actually happened with this person.
Okay. And then you separate her from the multiple fragments.
So you in this case, you're simply releasing her because it's an external entity which is there in this person, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you do a simple release when you call on the masters of her realm, or you'll have to address the cause.
Yeah.
She should be ready to go. To make her go, you'll have to listen to all her stories and find out why she came in the first place and what she saw in this person. And at the point when she first saw her and got into this person, and then take her back to that time and then perform that golden ball release.
Okay.
And when you're doing that golden ball release, call on the masters and everyone else at that point of time.
Okay, got it. Okay. I'm going to give it a shot and then I will again get back to you.
No issues.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Saket.
If you're recording the sessions, you can record also. If you want me to, be part of it, we can be part of it and try to work it out together. That would not be an issue.
Okay, great. Yeah.
We can do it over the Zoom while you're doing it. I can look at it and we can work it out.
ठीक है, Saket. Yeah. And what about this other thing that I was asking Abhi? One moment. I'm just going back to my notes.
Okay.
I think in the meantime, if anybody else would like to ask any question.
Anybody else?
Okay, so maybe can I go ahead?
Yeah, nobody's asking, so you please, why not?
Okay. now I'm taking this a stroke patient back to find out the reason for the multiple strokes.
Mm-hmm.
And mm, this person has never dreamt throughout in her life at all. There have been
Okay.
no dreams in the night.
Mm-hmm.
So her visualization is not great, but I gave it a shot. So I took her back and I made her go back to go. I did the garden scene, put her in a boat with the person that she loved, made her go back. She's really loving it. There is a lot of facial expression change. There is a calmness. And she goes on to the sunset. She wants to move on in life. But
Mm-hmm.
at this point, when there is a dusk scene that happens,
Mm-hmm.
and she's happy. She's happy. She wants to be with the person,
Mm-hmm.
but she wants that the other person should astrally come and talk to her. She's waiting. Now,
Okay.
you had also made us do the astral conversation. You
Right.
could bring back the astral. But
Right.
at this point, when when the person is already in the past,
You can
and
still
we
call.
okay, so at this point, do I call upon the other person astrally to come and talk?
Yes, yes, you can.
I can. Okay. And what if the person doesn't want to come? So this person gets
Nothing
stuck.
would happen. Na?
Hanji.
Then the person would not appear there.
So then how do I tackle this? Because the person is only waiting for the other astral body to come and have a conversation.
Then you will understand na, that she is not coming, and then you will have to reason it out with her. That
Hmm.
then you can introduce a master or somebody else at
Huh?
this stage and let her talk to that particular master or whomsoever she believes in. That why is the reason that the person is not available. Usually 90 to 99% of the time the person would come.
Oh, okay.
That should
Okay.
not be an issue. It's very rare that if you call on somebody they don't come.
Okay. But like when we did that astral session and when you made the person come,
Yeah.
the person did not talk, but there was a lot of release of emotions of the other person, but there was no dialogue. So that became very difficult to understand because when there is no conversation, you don't know, you can't ask a question and you can't reason out and you can't push, like you said.
So what happens is if the person comes in, there's a lot of conversation that might be actually happening at a certain plane, but we are not privy to it. So we don't understand. They still might energetically exchange words and you know resolve things. So calling always helps. We might not be actually able to intervene at that stage, but that's fine.
Okay, okay. ठीक है, Saket. I understood what I need to do now. So I call the masters that the patient believes in, or I call the masters of the realm that need to
No,
be
no.
there.
In this case, the person that the person you're working with,
Hanji.
whomsoever she believes in.
Okay, so I call that master.
Yeah.
ठीक है, cool, got it. Thank you so much.
Master of the realms are we only call when we are releasing an entity.
Okay. Got it. That's another clarification.
Yeah.
ठीक है जी, I got my answers and I really hope I have this breakthrough.
Oh, you will.
Thank you, bless you.
It's all about constantly working and improvising and getting the things right.
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल.
Any other questions?
No, I was just wanted to ask in this exercise which Deepika had done, soul retrieval.
Yeah.
So this would mean an external entity only, or it could be past life personality also.
So since there are changes in the current personality, the feminine aspects and everything, and it's an attachment. So it could be from a past life, it could be from this life. So both the things need to be proved. So that's why I'm saying is that when you take her to cause to regress is when is the first time that you got attached to this person. You would come to know when this actually happened.
Okay, so the soul clearly, the entity clearly says that yes, I was this person in the past life, or I am some. How do you get to know then?
So if you simply take her back, that entity would start telling about the time. Or if it is referring to herself in the same name that it is referring right now, then it's the same entity. If the person that is being referred has the same name as in the present life and the situation, so you can ask what is this person's age at that point of time. If she says 30 years, 40 years, which is the person is not, or 10 years. So all that way you have to correlate and figure it out.
Okay, okay, okay.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll go back to the 3 techniques that we're talking about.
Sumita, you had a lot of questions. This is the time.
No, I would want to hear Abhi Sakit. Abhi, right now, I don't have any question.
Okay. So I'll reiterate that use Dave-Ellman induction as much as possible for doing an induction and taking the person deep. Once you do that, that's one of the brilliant inductions that we have. It's perfectly sure that the person is in hypnosis. Secondly, don't mind using convincers. Convincers are, in fact, they're not for you, but they are for the client to understand that hypnosis is working on them. So what kind of convincers you can use is that your eye is not opening is one good convincer. Arm levitation, that you tell them your arm is feeling lighter and lighter. It is moving. Now it will move to your head, and then, or stiffen the arm by giving the suggestions it's getting stiffer. You know? So when you use these convincers, the whole idea is to convince the client that something is happening which they have not experienced before. And once they have experienced it, it becomes much more easier for them to experience the rest of the session and everything else. Any questions on this part? On convincers and deepeners or inductions? Okay, none. So
Sakit, later on, I would like to ask something about the Akashic records also.
no, you can ask right away. No issues. That's the ask me anything, na? So you can ask. No,
I just thought I didn't want to disturb your flow.
no. That's right. You can ask.
Okay, so I've been doing Akashic records for a couple of people, and generally the master of the Akashic record would emerge, and it is not always that they would take you to the place where the records are. Sometimes the answers get very cryptic, or it seems that the master is annoyed. Now, I have not really bothered to fathom or really go into the fact as to why the master is looking so angry. I'm sure in that realm there could be other things happening which is irking the master.
Typically, what other people have experienced or explored deeply is masters appear to be agitated or angry because when the answer still lies, it's very clearly evident in the person's current life.
Okay.
And the person is not listening to it and still looking for answers in the Akashic records. Of course, they can give you very clearly, but they have to follow certain protocols. So that's why they use that cryptic issue. Usually, if it's a clear case of, something coming from the past life, they would be usually they'll be very, very helpful and happy about it. They'll simply give you the details.
Okay. Now, my thing is when I go on to my first question and I get an answer, but I
Mhm.
feel there is something, there are 3, 4 more questions to be
Mhm.
asked, you know, to be able to go back to the cause of the previous lifetimes. Can
Mhm.
I have that conversation with the masters?
That would be totally dependent on the master that was actually present at that time. They might like to entertain you. They might talk to you, ask all that.
So I need to take their permission if they would like to have the conversation with me.
Yes, yes. Take the permission. Say thanks for being there, helping you out, and the
Hmm.
person that you're working on, and that should do.
Yeah, and is it a probability that sometimes I feel that the masters are also changing in that realm?
Yeah, yeah. There are so many. It's not a single person who's working there. No, it's a role they're playing.
Yeah. Okay, so then it's actually happening because sometimes you wonder, ki, you know,
It's it's
sometimes you
it's
doubt.
basically a position. Like a record keeper is a position.
Right,
It's not
right.
a single person who's holding everything. They might have a hierarchy. They have a hierarchy actually. Yeah,
Yes.
but the persons that the record keepers we interact with, they could be. So let's say today I go in for myself. I
Hmm.
can meet a ex master there, and
Yeah.
af 1 hour after this, if I go there, there could be somebody else who would be dealing with it. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
And also at times I feel there have been when I'm talking to the master, there is another master who is there, but the
Hmm.
master is not talking. Now, can I ask something from the other master? Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, you can always, if the person is visible, if you're feeling them, if you can see them, it's always appropriate to request. But you can only request that
Yeah.
if they would like to throw some light to this and anything else.
Yeah, sure. That is basically what I wanted to know, because I don't want to disturb the master without, or offend
No,
anyone.
no, they we need to understand they're beings of light. They would simply tell you that, okay, fine, no help needed right now, no help would be given. Fine, fair enough. They would not feel bad about it.
Okay, great. So just these two aspects I was getting stuck. Otherwise, they've been really kind with their answers.
Okay, so Nivedita needed some clarification on doing the hypnosis. Let me see if somebody is available, then I'll show her an induction. If no one is available, then I'll simply talk about it. Okay. Okay. She's clearly visible, especially to Nivedita.
Yes.
Oh. So I'll show you how a induction is done. Ready to go into experience of hypnosis. During the process, I would touch you on your forehead, shoulders, and with your hand. Okay. So we begin by asking the permission, and then I'll give you certain instructions, very simple one to follow. Would you be able to follow that? And if you follow, you'll have a wonderful experience and a relaxed day ahead. Okay. As I move my hand, take a deep breath. Bring your eyes back. Inhale and close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Focus on inhalation and exhalation. In a moment, not right now, in a moment, I'll ask you to relax all those eyes, muscles around your eyes, all those tiny muscles around your eyes. Relax them to the point that they'll simply not operate. I'll count from 1 to 5. With every count, the muscles will relax. But by the time I'll reach 5, they'll be so relaxed. They'll be able to operate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Totally deeply relaxed. Try opening your eyes. Stop trying. Go deeper. Relax. In a moment, not right now, but in a moment, I'll touch, lift the wrist of your left hand. Don't assist me, don't resist me. As I lift and as I drop, the moment your hand touches your leg, all in your lap, your relaxation will double. Don't assist, don't resist. Deeper. That's right. Deeper, deeper, and deeper. Twice as deep. In a moment, not right now, but in a moment, will relax you mentally also. Imagine all these numbers from 1 to 100 inside your mind. Imagine, visualize, pretend, feel. And as you count from 100 to backward, by the time you reach 98, or even before that, all these numbers would go. You would relax completely, physically and mentally. That's right. 100. Relax. 99, 98, all of them gone, completely gone. Let the relaxation flow right from your head, from your eyes to the rest of the body. Totally and deeply relaxed. Totally relaxed, deeply relaxed. Feel the joy, feel the relaxation. Let all the stress go away from you. That's right. Now, if we want, we can add a deepener. We can take it down the stairs and add another deepener. Add 2 deepeners if you want, and then whatever is the stated issue, we can do the intervention. But in case we always say we should not let go of a good trance, feel totally, deeply relaxed, feel the joy, feel the times, and let them multiply. In a moment, not right now, but in a moment, I'll count from 1 to 5. At 5, and not before 5, we'll open your time. And even at 5, you'll take your time to open your eyes at your own pace. Feeling totally relaxed, totally happy, as if had a long sleep, all charged up to face the day. 1, till your heart beats, till your lungs breathe, you'll always have this capability to relax whenever you want. 2, whenever you faced the situations and questions, you'll always have answers, 3 or more, to solve that situation. 3, all the bodies aligning, all the chakras aligning. 4, the consciousness coming back. And 5, taking your time, feeling relaxed and joyous. Open your eyes. How do you feel? Good. Thank you very much. Yeah. Any questions? From Sangeeta or from me?
It's clear, it's clear, it's clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now, you have the clarity how to start the hypnosis process? Nivedita?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now you can go ahead, do, and then you have a lot of scripts in the book, you can use them also. Okay, so what other 2 things that we would talk about is what I had written. Okay, got it. Okay, Neha is not here. She had an issue with anybody else has a needs clarity on the spinning technique or the frame technique. No, she had it.
Yes, yes, I have, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so spinning is basically when once you have taken this person and your subject, your client into hypnosis, and they have, let's say, a pain or emotional issue, then at that point of time, you would ask them to connect to that particular issue and ask them where exactly do they feel it. So let's say if it's a pain, they would feel it right where the pain is. And if it's an emotional issue, they might feel it in any part of the body. That it's coming from the gut, coming from the heart, coming from the head, in one of the legs, wherever, back. So the idea is to connect to that pain, take that pain out, take it in one hand, then see how big it is, hold it from both the hands, and make your client look at the pain in which direction it is moving, or that particular process or thought or whatever that is, that the issue that we're addressing, and reverse it, the direction, and then slam it back in. So what it basically does is changes the subconscious mind's pattern. It understands that something which was causing pain is no longer there, something which was causing emotional trauma is no longer there, something which was causing sorrow is no longer there, but it would do the opposite of that. So now pain would become a no pain, sorrow would become joy, and so on and so forth. You can also use the same technique where you ask them to hold on to both the edges of this energy, expand it. As they expand it, that same thing would expand. As they collapse it, it would collapse. So you can ask them to collapse it and throw it at their back. So it would be no longer in their system. That's one way of doing it. The other way we did was take it and then you take it and go and throw. So it's adding a one more angle of disassociation. So that would be one more thing that you can do. Other thing that I would emphasize on is regress to pause. We should always see, it's also called the bridge effect, or some people have named it differently based on who is teaching you, or but the whole idea is that once we connect to an issue, if the issue is chronic, then we should take the person to the point when that issue first emerged. Now, when you do a regress to cause, you would do a age regression. The person would immediately go back in time and see what has happened, which has caused that issue. It could also result in a spontaneous past life regression, which means that the person would go to some other life and time and say, this is what is happening. But since it's not a proper past life session that you're doing, so if you come across that, or if you come across age regression, simply do what you're doing, find out the cause, have a disassociation with the cause, come back, see if the change has occurred. If the change has occurred, that's perfectly fine. If not, then do a complete PLR session on that person. That way it would help.
I couldn't hear the last sentence. What we should do if it's not effective then, the last
Then
sentence?
do a complete past life regression session on that person.
Okay.
Because that, if the person has regressed to a past life, then definitely there's something which needs to be done there. Okay, let me see what I had. Just checking what I wanted to. Okay, gray room. Now, again, gray room is a very powerful technique. when we are talking about gray room is we take the person into regression, then we create a safe and sound room. That's one way of doing it. Or you simply take them to another room, which is safe and secure. It has a fireplace burning right in the middle of it. You can create a safe sitting point for that person. And in that fire, whatever emotion, pain they want to get rid of, you can ask them. That is on one of the walls. They would be able to see what they need to keep and what they do need to throw. So whatever they need to keep, they would remain on the wall. Whatever they need to throw, they can simply take it from the wall, throw it in that fire and burn. That's one way of doing things. It could also be done in a different way by creating a magic circle. So instead of fire in the room, you could create a circle in the room which is completely safe and no one can enter except your client in that circle. Let the client enter that circle, and then if it's a habit or a thing that they want to get rid of, ask them to look at a part of themselves or themselves again doing things in a certain way in which they want to do and which they are not able to do. And once they see that everything is being done right by themselves only, you can do a merge of both the things and they can take those traits in. So that's the couple of variations that you can do with it. So anybody using these three techniques, quite a lot, because I do, and I find them that that's the basic that you can easily start with.
Sakit, I have used the spinning technique
Okay.
once or twice with my daughter to release. There is a back pain that she's been having. So she is getting momentary relief, but maybe I need to do a PLR on her.
Okay.
Because it goes away.
Yeah,
But
you can do a regress to cause, which could be a PLR or this life only.
Hanji, that's right.
Okay, any more questions or we should call it a day?
Okay, one last question, Sakit.
Please, good.
Sorry.
No, it's good that, people don't have questions, but they do learn when you ask. So definitely good.
Okay, now I was just wondering, as a form of experiment, can we somehow accommodate the gray room when we are going back into regression? When you want them to come into a place of comfort or a safe place, like you had mentioned, that you take them into a safe place. So can we adjust the gray room to that point? Well, while they are there, to kind of release whatever anxiety that would have that they would have experienced while going back.
So there's another take on this, that create a safe room. First if you're doing a PLR, first take your client to a safe room.
Hanji.
Let them relax completely in that safe room.
Hmm.
Say that safe room, open a door to the point in time wherever you want to open in the past life, and tell them that they can always come back to this room by just simply turning around in that past life and opening this because this door is going to be behind them every time, always, and simply get them. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is that put them in a protective bubble or a shield or a energy shield.
Hanji.
That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is that let them have a look as they are looking at their past life on a screen, like a movie. In that room only, let them choose one of the walls and ask them to project whatever they want to project, what they see on that wall, what the movie is running. So there's another level of disassociation. They are watching something happening to somebody else on a screen, which you can pause and find. So all that
Hmm.
would help. So you can improvise anything you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that would be better because some people are really nervous about getting into it.
Yeah, because they, at the back of the mind, they still have that doubt whether I'll get stuck into it or not.
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
So when you do that as projection or something else or a safe room, that's totally taken care of.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, I'll give this a shot. Thank you again.
So, Saket, this gray room, once you do the induction and before you take them to a point, before you ask them, what do you see? Before that, you put them in the gray room and then you start asking them to project, right?
Yes, yes. Once you take them there and then use one of the walls, say that there's a wall and that you on that wall is a projector running a movie.
Mhm.
And from the movie, you'll be able to see the point in time when this the answer to this question is there. So see, you tell me what are you looking at and what are you seeing.
Okay, and if there is some uncomfortable thing or issue or emotion they're feeling, then you can ask them to throw it in the fire or
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. If they're not comfortable with fire, then a magic circle or something.
Anything. It's fire is basically universal thing. If they're not comfortable, create anything else.
Okay, okay.
Create a
And
paper shredder, a memory shredder, or I've done some very different stuff. Somebody created a vacuum cleaner sucking all the negative
okay,
images from the wall.
okay, okay,
And it would take it to a bin and destroy it. So if the person was fine with it doing it themselves, it was fine with me.
okay, okay. And one more question I had now in this, the kind of exercise like we have soul retrieval where entities come up, where even, during PLR, sometimes these energy beings come up, entities who are attached. So, okay, if they're willing to go during the conversation, that is fine. You can call in the masters. What in a scenario if they're not willing to go?
If you're not willing to go, don't force them to go.
Okay. Then then in that case, how does a solution come up?
Then you'll have to work on them. You'll have to come back to them again and, again ask them. See if they're showing up. The point is they want to go.
Okay, okay.
Now the issue is that how and why and when, what would they want and go is the question.
Okay, okay.
Because we don't want them to lie also and say, go through the release process.
Hmm.
If you're bugging somebody really hard, they might simply say, okay, I'll go and not go.
Okay.
If you might force somebody, you can actually project them out of that individual.
Mm-hmm.
But then that is not the solution, forcing out, because then immediately they would go and attach to somebody else.
Okay, okay.
So what's the point? You probably did good to your client, but to somebody else, they might get attached. So problem remains the
Okay.
same.
Okay, okay.
So at this point, you ask them, you take them back, maybe Saket, to the point where they got attached to this person.
Exactly.
You know?
And then do a release.
Yeah, then do the release.
And any fragments going from this entity to any past life, any other life of this person or anybody else should be recalled.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Deepika seems to be working with a lot of past life and this clients, right? Akashic readings. That's
So,
your forte now.
I'm actually enjoying the Akashic reading because although it's quite heavy duty.
So do share some, insights, what you got, if you can.
Like I had this person, and she wanted to know the real reason as to why her sister and her brother-in-law have really not been able to make a financial breakthrough. And the person, the husband's, in spite of being explained a number of times practically by the entire family, it's not happening. And there is no parental support to the family.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went there and when I spoke to the master,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that the masters were changing. Now
Mm-hmm.
today I got a clarity as to why and how. and the master was very explicit
Mhm.
about the reason. Like you said, that when the solution is right there, it's evident in front of them, and the people are not willing to do it. So that explained why the masters were getting angry or irritated, which they were in the Akashic records.
Mhm.
So at this point, they did not make me open any scriptures or any records.
Mhm.
However, there was another female master who was
Mhm.
also there at that point, who helped me get the answers. And then there was further explanation where they were trying to curb their irritation and said that, okay, look, this is what is happening.
Mhm.
So when I got my answer, which was just clear enough, and I went back, and when I spoke with the family, so the
Mhm.
family agreed that yes, this is actually that was happening, and they were not willing to look at the answers. So but I was very grateful to the fact that the main person concerned due to which the problem was being created was willing to understand
Mhm.
and do something. So I was glad that that particular thing helped the family.
That's good.
And then another time, when I went into the Akashic records, somehow a couple of the master showed me a couple of lifetimes in the Akashic records.
Mhm.
So which I found was very interesting, because it was like, when you were just talking about going into the safe room and projecting it on another wall,
Mhm.
looking your own life with a faraway thing. So this is what I was visualizing at least 4 lifetimes.
Mhm.
So a lot of things again became clear as to whatever was happening was coming from the past life. Hence the interest in the PLR.
Okay. Good. Cool.
So that means Deepika was doing the Akashic for them. It was not the clients. Deepika could see means she was going into the Akashic records
Yes, she was doing a reading for the client, and the
for the
client was
client.
not. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Hanji.
So you can do it both ways. You can do a reading for the client, or you can take the client there. Both ways.
How would you, Saket, how would you take the client? Because that would be more helpful, no?
Same process. Take the client through the same process. Ask them to be there,
Oh, okay.
and then you can take the client also.
You can do this distantly?
So instead of you going through the same process, do the prayer, ask the client to say the prayer, take the client itself, basically, guide them through.
Okay, okay, okay. So it's like a hypnosis
Yeah,
towards
yeah.
the
Then
other
it's a
reality.
hypnosis. On you doing a hypnosis session on the client, you are taking them to read their records. Both techniques work pretty well.
Saket, we can do this distantly also?
Like, how do you want to do it?
Like, like these days, if you're not able to meet the client, can you do
Hmm.
this over the Zoom or the,
Yes, you can.
you can, na?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's
See,
gonna
typically
be
you can access Akashic records every time a person goes back to the point when they are, between lives.
hmm.
So you can either take, let's say I want to go. I can either go back, regress to the point in this life before I was born, and then access Akashic records. That's one way of doing it. Other way of doing it, let's say I'm in one of my past lives, and
Hanji.
there take me to the death scene, and from there access the Akashic records.
Oh,
That's
okay.
another way of doing it. You can do, there are multiple ways of accessing it. Makes it easier if the person is gone through the physical body experience, take them to an experience which is not in the physical body and then access it. And you had certain questions about life between life also. So
Yeah, sorry, your image had got frozen. So
Okay.
what I was asking was that in case that the client is getting confused, getting into another realm, can you intervene?
Yeah, you can intervene.
Can intervene.
Don't do leading questions. That's all I say.
Okay. Yeah, no. We are just there as a bystander,
Exactly.
right? And you're just seeing what the client is doing. But if you feel that the client is getting confused or anxious, you just gently intervene on the client's behalf, because
Exactly.
you don't want to disturb the masters into throwing you out of the realm.
No. You simply intervene, and that would be fine. No issues at all.
Cool, great. Thank you. That's another great insight you've given today.
Our job is to simply guide them. So as long as if intervention is not required, well, fine. No intervention required.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
So I did a session on somebody who, it was sort of, we were doing something and then somebody else came, then expected person. And they had a discussion which I was not part of.
Oh,
Because the client didn't want to share what is happening.
okay.
But at the end of it, it was resolved. So even the client was like very surprised that how come this person came and why this happened. And I said, let's not worry about it. But that's the main issue that you were, would be addressed this way only. If unless this was addressed, you could not address anything.
So you mean to say that when you were doing the Akashic records, there was another
So even before we could go to Akashic records, we were trying to access. She could feel somebody else is there, and then we asked that person to reveal that it was the astral body of the person she had interacted before in this life. And then they talked, and it was resolved.
Okay. Got it.
Because
Wonderful.
the fact was that if we would have gone and accessed the Akashic record, there would have been nothing. Because this was from something which is from this life. So the subconscious gave us another direction, and when we followed it, definitely there was an answer to it.
Thankfully, the other person came astrally on his own.
Was called by whosoever, I don't know, subconscious or whatever. But yeah.
Okay, cool. As long as it was resolved, it's okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Any more questions, anyone? No, nothing as such. Good, then we'll call it a day. And in case you have any other questions, please text me. I'll answer back. Text on the forum. I'm fully back. So we'll have a question answer session and a couple of techniques. What I would do probably in the next session, this question answer session and showing some technique, is maybe at least 1 or 2 of us can be together at my place or some other place where we can showcase this techniques live to everybody else who's interested. So let's say spinning, we'll do one spinning, we'll do one framing, we'll do one gray room practically, so everybody would know how to do it. Good, that works out?
Yes. We can be at your place. Don't worry.
Yes.
Cool. Then we'll do that. Post 17th, because 17th till 17th, I have my daughter's exam are there. Then post that, we'll do that. Definitely.
Yeah, I would
Wonderful.
like to come because I have not practiced at all and I need to practice.
Okay. So in that case, Devika, you have not practiced, Nivedita has not practiced, and Neha is someone who could not attend last 2 days of the basic class. So should we, okay, we can do either an online, offline session combination and take you guys. No issues on that.
Okay.
So I'll plan something and let you know, maybe post 17th only, and maybe half a day to take you through it quickly, and then the rest of the portions online, right?
Great.
Good. So we'll do a online repeat of level 1 for all those who are out of practice, right?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Saket.
So we'll cover it in a day, I guess, because we won't need 2 days. So we'll either do 2 half days or we'll do either, and then followed by a practice session in physical after 7.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thanks. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.